Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to deal with another learning theory, that is Skinner's operant conditioning theory. B.F. Skinner's operant conditioning theory is an extension of SR theory propounded by Pavlov, but it is quite different from that of Pavlov. Skinner's theory of learning is known as operant conditioning or instrumental conditioning. Skinner called his theory as operant conditioning as it is based on certain operations or actions which an organism has to carry out. Here, operant means voluntary behavior and operant conditioning means strengthening and weakening of the voluntary behavior with the help of consequences or antecedents, where antecedents is an event that precedes an action and consequence is an event that follows an action. It is also known as R-type conditioning, that is response type conditioning, because Skinner attached greater importance to operant behavior, which is primarily concerned with response rather than stimuli. Whereas Pavlovian model of conditioning, also called S-type conditioning, since it is concerned with stimuli. Skinner changed the usual stimulus-response formula into an response-stimulus formula. Now let's learn about Skinner's experiment. The early experimental work by Skinner was carried out with rats with pressing levers for food packets. Yes, Skinner constructed a box and equipped it with a lever and a food tray. The lever could be pressed. Skinner placed a hungry rat in the box and rat would wander over the bar from time to time and push the bar down. The moment it happened, a food pellet would fall into the tray. The rat learned this task of pressing the lever more frequently in order to get the food pellet, and this reinforced the behavior. Here, food, which is reward, reinforced the lever pressing response, which is operant response. It was also found that when the lever pressing was not followed by food, that is reinforcing stimuli, the operant response was discontinued. Here, operant response is lever pressing response, which will discontinued. We can say that operant response will extinct with a non-reinforcement. In the case of Skinner's experiment, reinforcement is the most important aspect. If proper reinforcement is not provided, then operant response may extinct. Skinner extended his experiments on other animals. Here Skinner used pigeons also as subject, where the operant investigation was pecking at a spot that acted as a key to trigger the reinforcement. That means he kept a hungry pigeon in a box, and the pigeon had to raise its head to a particular height and peck at a particular spot in order to get its food, which got automatically released on pecking. As in the previous experiment, the operant behavior got strengthened. In this experiment, operant behavior is lifting the head to a particular height and pecking at a particular spot. This operant behavior is reinforced by supplying food. In Skinner's experiment, reinforcement plays a major role. He defines reinforcement as an effective action to strengthen the behavior and reinforce as any event that increases the possibility that the behavior will occur again. He also conducted experiments on human beings where the operant was problem solving. For pigeon, food was the reinforcement just as it was the case of rat in the box, But for human subjects, it could be getting the right answers or verbal expressions of approval. As I said earlier, operant conditioning theory is based on certain operations or actions. Now let's learn about what are the operations involved in operant conditioning. The operations are shaping, extinction, spontaneous recovery, and concept of reinforcement. First operation is shaping. It is the most important mechanism used in operant conditioning. Here, an operant conditioning procedure in which selective reinforcement is used to bring certain desirable change in the behavior of the organism. Here, the experimenter shapes or molds the behavior of the organism just as clay is molded by a potter in a definite form of a pot. Here we need to reward the response that are ever close to the desired behavior, or else we need to ignore that behavior. It will gradually shape the complex behavior. So rewarding the desirable behavior at the correct time will lead to shaping. Shaping refers to the judicious use of selective reinforcement to bring certain desirable changes in the behavior of the organism. The basic process in shaping is successive approximation to the desired behavior. There are three important psychological principles which are involved in the process of successful shaping of behavior. They are: first one, generalization; second one, habit competition; third one, chaining. That is, each segment in the chain must be linked to other. These are the three principles involved in shaping. Second operations involved in operant conditioning is extinction. Extinction is a permitting a behavior to die out by not reinforcing or rewarding it. It is permitting a behavior to die out by not reinforcing or rewarding it. Extinction is known as external approach to motivation. Extinction is also known as external approach to motivation. Example: if a child shows a bad behavior, if we do not provide any reward or if we ignore, then the behavior gradually extinct. In the case of pigeon's experiment, if we do not provide appropriate reinforcement, that is food, for the operant behavior, then that operant behavior gradually extinct. Third operations involved in the operant conditioning is spontaneous recovery. It is extinction of a response may takes place due to non-reinforcement, but there can be a spontaneous recovery of that response. Simply, we can say that the re-emergence of a previously extinguished response after delay. Fourth operations involved the operant conditioning is reinforcement. It is the stimulus whose presentation or removal increase the probability of a response. There are two types of reinforcement: positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. Positive reinforcement means any stimulus which strengthens a response, such as showing a appreciation after completion of the work in the form of a present, verbal appreciation, etc. Whereas negative reinforcement means strengthening the behavior by removing a non-desirable stimulus, such as allowing the child to watch his or her favorite TV program after studying the given lesson. Here, positive reinforcement means adding something, whereas Negative reinforcement means taking something away. Food, water, etc. are considered as a positive reinforcement, whereas electric shock, loud voice are considered as a negative reinforcement. It should be noted that both positive and negative reinforcement help to strengthen the desired behavior. Here, reinforcement of condition was a common way for motivation. Food was reinforcement for parrot or pigeon. Correct knowledge was the reinforcement to a learner in school. As with reinforcement, there are also two kinds of punishment. A punishment is the purpose is to decrease a behavior. Kinds of punishments are positive and negative. Positive punishment is also called punishment by application, whereas negative punishment called punishment by removal. Positive punishment is the unpleasant consequence added by adding stimulus. Example, adding more work, fine or charges. But in the case of negative punishment, it is pleasant consequence is removed. Examples are terminate from job, removal of license, etc. are considered as negative punishment. Another term is extinction, which is we already discussed. It is the permitting a behavior to die out by not reinforcing it. According to Skinner, extinction was the appropriate process of breaking habits than punishment. He said that it is the appropriate process of breaking habits than punishment. Example, we associate a particular behavior with a reward. When we stop rewarding for that behavior, we will see that the behavior will extinct eventually. If we do not provide food for the pigeon for his operant behavior, that behavior will gradually extinct. So, this extinction is better than punishment. That's all about today's video. In the next video, we are going to deal with schedules for reinforcement, educational implications of Skinner's theory, comparative study between operant conditioning and classical conditioning. Thank you for watching my video. Have a great day.